It's the Corrado Lark, Corrado Lark, Corrado Lark Knitcast Podcast Channel. Yeah. Whatever your yard, whatever you choose, anything you wanna knit, baby, you can do it. You can't lose. 'Cause yarn makes your fabric, makes your fabric. It's all in yarn, yarn. It's all in yarn. Yarn makes your fabric. Hey y'all, welcome back to the Corrado Lark Knitcast Podcast. It's the host here. I'm Corrado Lark, the host of the Knitcast Podcast Channel. Welcome back. It's so good to see you. You're a camera, but it's so good to see you. I mean, you at home will think that I'm talking right to you, right? That's how this works? I think so. For this episode, I've decided to block myself in the camera and see if I can just look straight into the lens and see if I can get, like, right there to you. Like this, and then I'm, like, in your living room. What do you think? Do people still watch things in their living room, or do they just, like, watch them in bed on their computers like I do? Am I weird for only doing that? Comment below. Anyway, you can find me as CorradoLark on Instagram and Ravelry, and you can email me at CorradoLark@gmail.com. And today is a special day because I've decided I'm doing another podcast here. Yeah. Tried filming one yesterday. Didn't go so well. I looked at the whole thing like this, like right off the camera. I don't know why. That's why I'm trying this whole like blocked thing. Maybe if I don't see myself, I can look straight into the camera. If it still doesn't look like I'm looking into the camera, I'm gonna post this one and someone can comment and tell me why that's happening now. I feel like that wasn't an issue before when I've been filming, but all of a sudden every time I go to edit, I'm like, why am I looking over here? I don't know, maybe I'm just like losing my touch. So today, I'm gonna have another long episode for you, or longer episode. I've decided, thank you. Well, first off, stop everything. Thank you so much for all the comments and all the feedback I got after the last long episode. I'm definitely planning on at least, doing a longer episode every week or every other week from here on out. I will still have short videos that I'm going to throw out there when things happen, maybe for designs, or like yesterday, today is Wednesday, yesterday was Tuesday, and yesterday on Tuesday, I put up the video of me singing live in Yarny Color, my little parody that I did Do You Knit this weekend, which we'll get to towards the end. So, you'll still get that, then you're going to get long episodes, long coffee. I poured the iced coffee into a nice glass today. Look at that. You can see the iced coffee in here. Oh, now that I'm trying to make the noise, I can't make the ice cubes. Isn't that a great sound? Who doesn't love that sound? Okay. Business. Thank you again. Keep commenting and feedback and giving me feedback. Let me know what you think. Let me know what I can do better. Give me all the criticisms that you can. No, don't do that. It'll hurt my feelings. Don't hurt my feelings, okay? Let's go to the journal. First order of business. What's on my head? What's on my head? This is the MCN Slouchy Beanie. I've talked about this on the channel before. It is done in Legacy Fiber Arts Cozy Toes. That's an MCN Merino Cashmere Nylon base. So it's basically a sockhead hat that I released a free pattern for on Ravelry. And I have decided, I've made the executive decision, that I want people to knit it. So basically, I'm thinking if you knit the MCN Slouchy Beanie and you're one of the first 3 people to do so, I will send you a free copy of Rado, which is my ebook of 6 patterns that I had released before this hat pattern earlier this year. That is a $10 value, a $9.99 value. So you're gonna be $7 off $9.99. And what's really cool about how Rado is working right now, I have it written down later, but I'm planning a Rado update within the next week or two. I've been working pretty diligently and updating the patterns and just clarifying some of the words and the terminology that I used, making it a little more concise. You know, the original one was 30 pages, and like some of the patterns are like 8-9 pages when they definitely don't need to be. But you live and you learn. I worked on that. I worked on that pattern book earlier this year. I don't know what my hands are doing. I worked on that starting in January. I released it early March, and that was my first foray into pattern writing. And since then, I've gained a really great tech editor who's been helping me with more recent patterns. I think you can kind of tell the difference if you have looked at all of them. And I plan on going back and just cleaning up Rado a little bit. So that'll be out in the near future. If you already bought a copy, it'll update you. It'll let you know, hey, he updated it. Downloaded it good. And you know, there's just some things I learned from doing it. Specifically the ace hat. I'll talk about it here. I've had a few people now do the ace hat after buying the book, and I learned something interesting about it. So it was done in Blind Buck Farms. In there, it's like they have a long grain wool is what I was gonna say. A long grain wool, a long wool sheep. Anyway, some woolly yarn, y'all. I used some woolly fingering yarn, weight yarn, and I think in transcribing that into someone using, say, a superwash or an acrylic, it doesn't use the same amount of yardage, is what I've kind of learned. Also, I think the original skein that I used was over the 100 grams. When I looked back, it was at like 112 grams skein of yarn. So that's why I originally said it was a 50-gram skein project, when really it's like a 60-65. So that update will be in there, and if you are working on knitting that, you can, you have two options really. You either shorten the hat, which if you've ever seen the Smells Like Yarn podcast, Ross has knit that, and he's knit the what we're now going to call the smaller version. That's not so slouchy, just has a regular brim, not a folded brim. Looks really great on him, and it's a really great hat in that way. He's going to make a project page for that, so you'll have that full update there. And check out his podcast, Smells Like Yarn. Good stuff. Anyway, what was I saying? Editor, producer, what was I saying? Come on. I don't have no producer, I'm just talking to air. Anyway, so there'll be a Rado update. Bottom line, you'll see that, and if you got the copy already, you're gonna get an updated copy. Grammar. Okay, so this next section is extremely controversial. Do not turn your cameras off, or just can't talk today, huh? Don't turn your YouTube off. Stay with me. You'll like it. I'm gonna say a risque word. No, I'm not. It's not that risque. I'm doing a yarn porn parade, okay? Who doesn't like a little bit of yarn? Let's start it off with my good buddy Alex Creates. I spent the Sunday with him over at Do You Knit this weekend for the Long Island Yarn Crawl. I knit Giving You Cake for Karen at Do You Knit for the weekend. And so I finally got to go and like give her the sample, because that was my plan. I was like, I'm just gonna give her the sample. Something that she doesn't have so much of in the store, because I used a mass green. But green goes like, contrasts well with pink, right? Sure. Anyway, so I dropped off the pattern without the actual cowl, and I hung out there all day. And Alex had a trunk show. And I am going to show this mess of a cake of yarn that I have in my hands for you. This I initially bought maybe a month ago now. It's the rock candy colorway and the Azúcar base. I've been working on that. I think I was saying Auscar because I just slightly dyslexic. I just couldn't figure it out. But that's the base, I think. Azúcar. Okay, so here's the yarn. The only interesting thing with me covering up my camera is I'm not going to exactly be able to see what you guys see. Do you see this part? Yeah, that's just because it was in my bag all weekend. I wanted to make sure that that I had it with me so I could pair something with it that I thought might be interesting. So that was my first order of business of the day when we got to doing it, was to pick out something to pair with this. And I went with the Pennies from Heaven colorway, the same base. It's 92% superwash, 8% Lurex, 400 yards, 150, or 400, I don't know, I think it's 400 yards, 150 grams maybe, 4 ounces, I don't know. Here we are. So here's the Pennies from Heaven. I'm really intrigued by purple and brown at the moment. Purpley, maroony brown. You know, I think you know I love maroon, but when it's blended with brown, like what? It's just very interesting and unique. So these two, I think, would make a really cute project. I could marl them, I could stripe them, I could color block them. It would probably be some sort of like an infinity scarf, or maybe a 2-skein shawl. I've been thinking about that lately, doing a 2-skein shawl with this. He had it crocheted up in a shawl there, and it was really cool in crochet, so it works really well with lace. I think it just because it holds its structure, and you'll really see the little holes that you make. There's part 1 of the Yarn Porn Parade. Part 2, I won a giveaway. What? Now there's like some controversy. Woo! There's some controversy about podcasters entering giveaways that I've recently, no one's actually spoken to me about, but I've seen people talk about this. And it's not like controversy, it's like, if I'm a podcaster, do I submit for giveaways? And in my book, I'm gonna say yes, because why not? Like, you know, we have giveaways. Well, I'm starting one kind of, right? Yeah, I'm starting one. So I'm gonna have that. That counts me. But we have giveaways. We can enter giveaways. It's all just fun. Good fun. Anyway. I entered one and I won one with that Is That Ken Yarn. Here's his little tag, Ken Yarn. It's probably gonna blow up for you. So you probably can't see anything. It's probably just a generic white blob. Oh, God. I don't know what happened there, y'all. The white blob just got in my throat. I'm gonna survive, I promise. So Ken Yarn, here we are. Jake of Ken Yarn. Ken Yarn, he is, he's in Rhode Island. He's coming to New York in May, so I'm hoping to see him when he comes here. And he sent me 3 skeins of his worsted base, 100% superwash. I think he is retiring this base when I talked to him about it, but his colors are incredible. First, I'll just show you these two. I love this tonal blue. It's really beautifully tonal. It gets really dark in some spots, and not super light, but you can definitely tell it's a hand-dyed blue. And it's super wash, but since it's not merino, it has that like woolier feel, which I really love. I was telling him I think it would be interesting for cables. And I understand, you know, this kind of a base maybe isn't the most popular, so he's definitely switching up bases, but any which way, you're getting his color sense, that's for sure. Really nicely saturated, just a tiny bit of speckling in this, no speckling here, and they contrast pretty well. So I was really happy to have these. I don't really know what I'll make with them. They'll probably join my stash, which is very small, and so I need that to get bigger, because I knit through things that I get usually like pretty quickly, which you might notice. But this I think I'm gonna hold on to. Thanks. Anyway. Okay, there goes the parade. The parade's over. Before the parade passes by. I don't know the words. Okay, next. So now we're gonna get to I think I don't think I talked about this on the podcast YouTube Knitcast channel. I don't even know what to call it. Sometimes I'm pretty bad at this. Anyway, so I don't think I've shown this yet. I've been meaning to. I meant to show it last time. I hadn't. I had completed a shawl about a month after the release of Rado. Once all the patterns were knit up for Rado, I was like, okay, I need something that's someone else's pattern so I don't have to make it. It was my thought process. It was like, great. So I've been talking to Michael Frazier a little bit. He's on Instagram, I think MF Knits or something like that. Michael Frazier, you can find him. He's on Ravelry too. And he's really interesting because he uses a lot of like nerdy pop culture references for his patterns. So I found one called Zim after Invader Zim, which is one of my favorite cartoons that was ever on the Nickelodeons. And so I was like, let's do it. It basically calls for 3 skeins of yarn. You're mainly just striping until the end, and you have this really cool lace. Around the same time, Knittin' Bro, who just opened up his shop. Congrats, Knittin' Bro! Yay! He just opened up his own yarn dyeing shop. You know, he's selling his yarn, and it looks great. So anyway, he had sent me 2 skeins of stuff that he was testing with back before any of that happened. And I thought they'd be perfect for this project because they were in like a purpley and a greeny, alien-y realm. So I started it. Like, here, I just want to see how high I am. Okay, great. So I started it and I was like, oh, this is going great. I really love it. And it's so nice, and like, I love a dark saturated color. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then as I'm going along, I was like, you know what would be fun is if I like brought in some of my Molly Girl baseline giants. They're sock weight. These 2 are sport. They're sock weight, and I just like hold it, you know, double with some of the strands kind of faded in, right? Little fade. It's my first fade, y'all. So I brought that in a little bit. And then I was like, let's get even crazier. And I had a Wildwood Yarns hand dyed by Madeline Tosh. That I then, as you can see, I started striping that in. And before I knew it, I had a fully faded shawl. This is the right side, so I want to show you the fade. There we are. Woo! And there's that cool lace that he has going on in the back and the bottom. It's a little alien light, comes to points. This thing, I've been wearing this thing. I mean, it's even in the preview of the video, or like the opening credits, whatever we call that. It's in the beginning of the video. I hate that noise, but I do it a lot sometimes, I've noticed. What the heck is that? So this has been fun. I really enjoyed the knit. You know, I was thinking about maybe writing it up and like releasing it as like a modification to his pattern, because I have everything that I did written up. But I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I might save it for one of my own projects. And because I did so many alterations to this, you know, I stopped striping. I started, you know, blending this in. I ended up going with like a Fair Isle type pattern in the middle there to blend even more, which you can probably see. And why I say that's not really finished, it's like a semi-finished finished project, is I don't like this end, this bottom. You know how it's a little raggedy looking? I think that's because, well, I pretty much know. It's because I use so many different weights of yarn and everything, the tension, you know, it's very difficult to keep it even throughout that section. So what I do plan to do is to do an applied eye cord. You may notice in the near future, I'm into applied eye cords. I think they look really cool. I think they finish your project really great. And so that while you're knitting it, you don't have to care about the edges as much. It's just in the end, you just do a little finishing technique and you're gonna be good. So I'm into it. So this has been fun to figure out how to wear as well. Let me just make sure I'm on the wrong side. I don't know what that was. So this is how I've been wearing it. Like, I have the lace part here. I'll do one wrap, not on my head, around my neck. And then I'm gonna wrap this again, tie it in the back. And I've been going around wearing it like something like this. I will say it also like would do a good shoulder. Anyway, So I love the colors in the end, and I decided I'd call it Zim and Gur, because Gur is an Invader Zim's sidekick. He's a robot, and he's in grays and blues. And this gray, the gray, I don't know if you can see because of the fade, it's the exact colors of Gur. So that's how I knew it would work in the pattern, with the colors I had, and it came out really fun. I also knit the one size up, so it's not the small, it's the medium. It's a really fun pattern. Y'all can check it out. It's really easily adapted as well. Okay, next project. This is a whip. I showed this last time, and we are almost done. So I filmed yesterday a podcast and I just wasn't happy with it in the end, just because I looked way too far off. And maybe that's gonna happen again today, but oh well, we're gonna put this one up, so that's that. So I had filmed this and then I spent like a good bit getting almost to the very end of the cowl, so I'm a little further ahead than I wanted to be to show you, but I really only have a couple rows of brioche left, and then I'm going to do my bind off. So this is the On the 7 cowl with 7th floor yarns. Not that you can probably see this. 7th floor yarns. They're Aran MCN base. It's 80-10-10, 181 yards, 100 grams. This is a 2 skein project, or 2 hank project, or 2 hain project, or 2 skank project. And so here we are. This is where I'm at. I will say, you know, I've been really into using speckles lately, and you'll notice that through my projects that come out in the next month. But you will also notice, like, it is a little difficult to see some of the stitch patterns, especially on poor cameras. But what I have going on is a wider brioche down here, and then I'm using brioche as pleats down here, and then I go into some cabling, which are in like circles, little circular patterns. There's an up-close picture of that on my Instagram. And then, and then it kind of, I switched to smaller needles at some point here, and I go with brioche again, and I brioche out, is how I like to put it, which I like to do at the end of my cowls. So I'm very close to the end here. I cannot wait to put this on and wear it. It will block out, I can almost guarantee, much bigger, just because of how I've constructed it. Like, you see this, like, that's gonna get big. But it's a really fun knit. I wouldn't say it's a beginner brioche project, just because I'm, you know, while I'm not traveling with brioche, like I'm still working in one line, I'm not, the center sections aren't like working around a brioche the whole way. It's a little more reminiscent of a lace pattern that you're working in. So I'm kind of using it as like a vertical line lace for structure. Anyway, so this is in the train congestion colorway that the girls, Ben and Judy, had sent me and dyed up for me, and we named and we conceptualized. And they're 7th floor yarns on the 7, and the whole pattern is worked around the 7th stitch. Yeah. So there we are, almost done. It's gonna be a really big, voluptuous cowl, and I'm really excited about that. I'm gonna, like, it's probably gonna be done, and all of a sudden we're gonna have hot weather. Cause it's still been cold, like, still today's a little chilly, so you have to wear your jacket and a hat when you get out. But, of course, I'll finish this and it'll be like, 80 degrees, die of sweltering heat, go. And me, I will sit in front of my little AC in my bedroom, just like with my cowl on, like, so happy and cozy. Just blast the AC so I can wear my cowl. Here we are on the 7. So I'm looking for test knitters for this. The pattern, I write the patterns as I go. You know, it maybe takes me a day or two to edit after I finish actually knitting the sample. And so this will be pretty much ready to test knit. So if you're seeing this, you want to test knit it, it's in an Aran. I would accept a worsted. It doesn't have to be cashmere, just to test it out. And it was pretty quick. It'll be pretty quick once you actually, if you're not designing it. Designing it's been taking me a while. If like last week I ripped all the way back to the I-cord and started again. So this is my 6th go at it. But 6 we'll just call it 7, right? It's my 7th go, because that goes along with the theme. My 7th go at it, and here we are, and it's perfect. Anyway, on the 7, that'll be up very soon. Also, I showed this last week, but I think I showed it with the pom-pom. Maybe I showed it without the pom-pom as well, but I'm gonna show it again. This is my twisted Shirsty hat in Shirsty Cat Designs yarn, which is a bulky. And again, I'm playing with speckles and cables, which really, it's like, in person you can totally see what's going on very easily. On cameras it might be a little difficult, but your cables are running, you know, basically out of each other, and they go in longer lines. It's really fun, and the pattern, like the actual like memorizing of what's going on, is super easy. All 3 of my test knitters have already completed this, even though I gave them 3 weeks to do it, and are already on to knitting it a second time because they really enjoyed it, which I think is pretty crazy, in a good way. Good crazy, which is like me, right? Okay. So, Twisted Shirsty hat. So this will be out pretty much like the early May, so maybe another week or 2. Here's how it wears on my head without the pom-pom. I had the pom-pom on. I took it off just because I don't like a pom-pom on my hats. It gets in the way because it's like, oh, I'm so relaxed. I want to, and then when there's a pom-pom, you're like, what's behind my head? I can't get comfortable. Like, what's going on? So I took it off, and I'm gonna leave it off until I get it photographed. I'm gonna get photographed both ways. I will say, some of my test knitters have said that it took 2 skeins of bulky for them to get this hat, and like a good portion into the 2nd skein even. So that was really good to know. But if you buy the Shirsty Cat designs, you can yarn the bulky. You would definitely be able to knit this with pom-pom or with just the folded brim. I give that option. Oh my god, I can't be caught without a hat on in this video. My hair is a dang mess. Okay. When isn't my hair a mess these days? I don't know. So this will be out really soon. It was a really fun pattern. People are really liking it. It will be a paid for pattern, but it won't be expensive. It'll probably be like $2.99, something like that. And I'm really happy with it. I've been wearing it a lot, as you can see. It's gonna need a little glean. I did get a travel gleaner, which is really cute and fun. So I've been like just shaving my knitting every once in a while in the kitchen. And every once in a while you're like, where are all these fluff balls from? It's like, it's from my yarn that I knit up into a fabric and gleaned. That was good, right? You liked that? That was funny. I'm a mess. Okay. So, that's pretty much it for the knitting. Pretty much it. I'm going to talk about the events and stuff that's been going on in the life. I've been going pretty much non-stop since Friday of this past week with some things. First up, on Saturday actually, I went to String Thing Studio for the first time, or String Thing in Brooklyn, with the owner's Felicia. So hey Felicia, Felicia's awesome. The store's really cool. They have a back patio, which is amazing, especially when it's nice out, for like events and all sorts of stuff. Really nice yarn, really fun people. I met up with Lewis of Brooklyn Boy Knits there. He was a good buddy of mine now. So it was, I had a great day. I picked up some Asylum Fibers, which I showed up on my Instagram. And I can't wait to go back, because I'm actually going back Saturday. Saturday is the Brooklyn Yarn Crawl. And so I know Felicia Lewis will be there as well. I think Stephanie of Asylum Fibers is doing a trunk show. There may be some other people there, I don't know exactly. But I'll be there, probably not till around 2 or 2:30, unfortunately. I like to be there earlier, but I can't. Is what it is. So I'll be there. Come say hey if you want. That'd be fun. Be good time, you know, good times. So I did that Saturday, talked with Lewis about some things, and then Sunday I went with Alex, as I said, to Do You Knit. I filmed a little song when I was there. We looked at all the yarn. You know, Karen at that store has amazing yarn, like hand-selected and imported from all over. Really inspirational. Like, I just spent the day, like, you know, casually, you know, going through the yarn and like picking out colors that I hadn't seen before, or like really interesting things in case I was like, oh, I needed that at some point. I could always just call her or figure that out. So yeah, her yarn was really great. I had a really great weekend, running around like crazy. And I actually also got a little part-time job here in Astoria. Kind of skipping to the life section, but on Friday, I basically, a really cool coffee shop, little like bakery restaurant nearby just opened a few months ago. I've been actually a couple times because they're really big on Instagram already. Like their social media is really taking off, and they were liking some of my things when I posted in Astoria, so you know, I figured I'd check it out, and it was really cute. But the other day they were posting looking for a, you know, real experienced barista, and I spent 5 years at Starbucks back when I was younger. Not that I'm like, you know, the greatest, you know, coffee maker in the world, but I've done it before. I was a supervisor, so I figured, you know, I might as well just go in and see how it goes. It kind of sounds fun to me, just work like a couple days at a local coffee shop that I could roll out of bed and get to. I think that sounds pretty great, especially with background work, which is what I normally do by day. Not being, you know, right now is the downtime, and like all the seasons are wrapped and there's very few practical projects going on. So it kind of came at a perfect time in my life to be like, yeah, let's just, sure, I'll go work there. So I had a test shift on Monday, and I'll start, you know, probably end of this week, next week, something like that, which will be fun. I'm pretty excited about that. Something a little more regular, a little more, I can keep a schedule with that, and so all this other stuff that's going on in my life, and some of it I can't talk about yet, but you'll be the first to know when I can. So with all the other stuff going on in my life, I was like, this kind of fits. Let's just go for it, and I'm happy to do it. You know, with background work, like, I am core on some shows, and so when they contact me, I'm just gonna say yes if I can, and no if I can't, and that's that. I'd rather do that than like the generic, general background stuff. Like, some of the days with background, when you're there and there's like 300-400 people, it ain't fun, it ain't cute. But when you're core and it's smaller sets and they know you a bit, that's when it's, you know, fun, and I'm happy to be there. So now that I've worked my way up to core, I can kind of work on other things going on in my life and not have to worry so much about constantly submitting for work, which is a lot of the job of background actors, just sitting on your phone and waiting for the emails and submitting right away. And if you submit right away, you'll get the job before anyone else. It's high stakes to spend in the background and be a blur. What else is here? So I'm going to talk a little bit about the work I've been doing with Brooklyn Boy Knits, Lewis there. If you don't know him, on Instagram or Facebook or any, you know, all over social media, he's had some viral videos go, you know, worldwide and all sorts of stuff. Really great guy, and I've been helping volunteer teaching on some of the Saturdays the past couple of months, because he's starting, you know, Brooklyn Boy Knit sessions where he's, you know, teaching people to knit from the very beginning at a very low cost. And he also has Yarnimentary, which we did, you know, I think I talked about in the last podcast, where New York One was there, and we taught about 300 kids to knit, and it was an incredible day, really awesome. And going forward, so May 5th is our next Brooklyn Boy Knit session on the weekends. That's 1 to 3 p.m. over at PS, I think, 150 on 105th Street. If anyone wants to come or anything, let me know. I can always get you the details. I think it's $25, and that gets you into the rest of the classes. After that, I think we have 2 more days, and the last day is a big barbecue with a DJ and all sorts of stuff. It'll be really, really fun. So I've been doing that with him, and then Yarnimentary, I think there's another one coming up in June that we're doing at that same school. And that's been really incredible, just to get fiber programs back in the schools, and, you know, have a way for schools to, you know, to actually be able to fund that, and it's at a very low cost. It's really great, really great program. So I'm really happy to be a part of that, and really happy to be working with him. So that's some of the stuff coming up. Ain't that great? You know, it's a great life. I told you last time, Tim's going away to Nebraska, so he won't be able to do another podcast or anything with me for a bit. I know, it's gonna be sad. We're all gonna miss that beard. He leaves, I think, tomorrow afternoon, actually. This is the last time I'll see him. Sorry, I need a minute. No, I'm fine. Anyway. So, and let's see, I've already talked about my Rado update. This is where I was supposed to talk about the Rado update. I just did it early, oh well. So that's in the works. What else am I supposed to talk about here? I'm busy. I literally I wrote this yesterday before I have written the weather. Let's discuss the weather. Well, today it's rainy and gloomy, but yesterday it was beautiful. So I went to the park and I knit in the park. And I love Astoria in like the spring, fall, and even in the summer it's really nice. I'm really close to Astoria Park, which is really great to get to. It makes me feel a little bit like I'm in suburbia, like I'm out. You know, I grew up in Colchester, Connecticut, which is out in the woods, so I need some sort of greenery around me. Otherwise, I just don't feel totally comfortable. So that's, I think, why Astoria and I fit so well. That and the amazing food, which is, oh my god, the bakery, you know, the coffee shop that I'm working for has an amazing lemon and blueberry tart with little meringues on it. And I also got a gluten-free, which I'm not gluten-free and I don't really care for that kind of stuff, a gluten-free oatmeal and blueberry blondie. So good. It was so good. So if you're ever in the area, come over to Queen's Cafe. Start your day at the end of the line. I think that's their tagline. Let's see. Oh, so here I have weather, busy, and secrets. So I need to let you know that there are secrets going on in my life that you can't know about yet, but you will soon. You will soon. The weather it's starting to almost be like spring again. This winter's been way too long. Everyone's talking about it. It's real. I need it to be over. But at the same time, I kind of don't want it to be over because the knitting weather has been like existing for a while this year. And once it gets like hot out, you know, it's going to be interesting. I've never knit really through the summer. So I'm going to try that this year. We'll see how it goes. I do have projects that have to get done. So I'll be putting in my air conditioner in the next couple of days just to have it there. Make sure I'm good to go if ever I need to blast that thing and knit away on some woolly wool. I think that's everything that I have on my list, y'all. I think we made it to the end. So thanks again for watching me on another crazy episode of this show. As I've said, I am going to start doing this as full-length podcasts. I think I'm at about 40 minutes today, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to try and keep it around there. And you know, some weeks we'll have more knitting, depending on what I'm doing. That's the big problem is a lot of my projects are secret until they aren't. So that makes it kind of difficult for me to put out content, I find. Other than just like crazy zany things like me singing and stuff like that, which I guess I could always get to you. So maybe it'll work out perfectly fine. Anyways, join me on the next episode, comment below, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and I will see you next time. Bye. Peace. I don't know. I don't know what it does sometimes. Does what it wants. Just does what it wants.